Hey everyone, I'm Joe Latender. This is So That's How You Do That. I went to Home Depot. I bought 6 boxes of vinyl plank. Cost me almost 600 bucks. I came home and my wife, well, let's just say she wasn't too happy at first. Now I went through and I reviewed all of this plank. There's 6 different types. I did all 3 types of Lifeproof, the 6 mil, the 12 mil, the 22 mil. I grabbed a box from Home Collections. I also grabbed 2 boxes of Traffic Master, which those 3 are also exclusive to Home Depot. Now, when I went through these tests, I went through and I opened up each box to find out how many different patterns were in these plank. I also put these plank together to see how easy they install. I show you how easy they cut with a jigsaw and a utility knife. I also took some sand and I rubbed it into each plank to see how scratch resistant they are. I took a fork after each one of them. I tested the locking system because that's super important to have a strong locking system on your vinyl plank so that you don't have failure later on. So let's go check out to see how the results came out. All right, now let's talk about Traffic Master. Now this is the 4.4 6 mil. So it's 6 millimeter wear layer, 4.4 millimeters thick. Okay, so out of all of these, there's a little bit of each pattern in these planks that I'm showing. So this is pretty common for most plank manufacturers. When you get into the more high-end stuff, you're gonna see more patterns. You can see that, like this one only has a little bit of the pattern on it. You can see that. Barely any. Just a smidgen, maybe 4 inches of it. So that means the more boxes that you open, these patterns are going to be spread out a bit more and more. But now like this one, it completely overlaps it except for the last 4 inches there. So you have 2 plank that almost are the same exact pattern. Hey, I think this is actually pretty good. I see a lot, sometimes I see plank where we have the same exact pattern in one box, repeat itself 3 times. But you can see right here with these 3, same thing. All right, now let's see how this stuff cuts. You can see that scores and snaps pretty easy. Let's try the length. Okay, so this will be easy to work with for cutting. Let's try the jigsaw. That cuts pretty good with the jigsaw. All right, let's try the marker test now. I use a marker to mark out walls and door jambs using this cheater board here during my installation. And I wanted to show you that you can easily take marker off from these planks. That comes off really easily. All right, let's see how this stuff goes together. So with this plank, you put the butt joint in by lifting the plank at an angle. The drop and lock, you don't need to do that. Now I personally think that this plank has got more strength in it when you have an actual tongue and groove. And that tongue and groove is not just in the long part, but also in the butt joint. Now overall, this plank goes together pretty nicely. This plank went together really nicely. You can see how nice the joints went together. You've seen how I was putting together pretty easily. Out of a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this an 8 as far as easiness for putting it together. So on each of these 6 planks that we're going to be talking about here today, I am going to take some sand. Now this is a fine core sand that I'm using, but it's still a sand that would be typical to be found in a house. I spread the sand over these plank, and as you can see, I can't dance. I'm doing a 50 shuffle here. Honestly, I don't know what you'd call it, but I am trying to wear this sand into the plank to see if we scratch it. No scratches. Okay, so what this plank is it's made by Traffic Master. Now this color or style is called Winding Brook. It's a 6x36 plank. It's 4.4 millimeters thick. So it's the thinner of all the plank that I've been showing you. It's got a 6 mil wear layer on it. Now this is actually an MSI product. Okay, it's branded under Home Depot, at Home Depot under Traffic Master, but MSI is actually the one who manufactures this. Okay, so they have this wear layer protection that they put on top of this that's called Crystallux. Okay, so that's what they use as the protective layer for the scratch. Now let's check out this locking system and see how strong it is. You can see I can break this off pretty easy. Okay, so to me I mean, it's not as brittle as some of them, but it still breaks easy. And to me, if you don't have a floor that's perfectly flat, you could have some issues with that locking system. Now let's check the scratching on it with a fork. We already did the sand test. Let's try a fork test on it. I'm just wiping it with water to see. I don't see any scratches on there. Okay, so this plank is only $259 a square foot, so it's probably a good buy, but I honestly, out of a scale from 1 to 10, I'm only going to give this plank, I'm only going to give it a 4. And the reason why is because the locking system was so weak. Everything else I liked about it. All right. Let's talk about Traffic Master again, but this time let's talk about the 5 millimeter in thickness with the 6 mil wear layer. Let's open this box up. All right, so in this box we had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Out of 10 planks that were in here, we have 5 different patterns. Now, I have repeats. They're not complete repeats, just like I've shown you in the other boxes, they overlap each other. This one right here is almost a complete repeat. So just let's see here. All right, let's talk about scoring and snapping this and see how easy this scores and snaps. You see that cuts easy. Let's check out the length. Definitely score and snap it in the length. Let's see how she cuts with the jigsaw. She cuts nicely with the jigsaw. All right, let's try the marker test. That marker all comes off nicely with the denatured alcohol that I'm using. This is once again a tongue and groove on all 4 sides. Okay. Seems to be going together pretty decent. It goes together nice, it feels good. There's a little bit of a high spot right there.
So this plank went together pretty well. I did have a couple of times where I felt like it was a little tough to put together, but for the most part it went together pretty well. You can see how it looks. I would give this a 7 out of 10 as far as easiness.
You see that little spot right there? I noticed that within the other box of Traffic Master too. That a couple of the butt joints damaged pretty easily. I'm not seeing any scratches. Okay, so here's the other Traffic Master. It's a 5mm, so it's 5mm thick. It has the attached pad on it. I mean, it feels pretty firm. It's a rigid, solid rigid core. The wear layer on this is only 6mm. Now this, I've looked and I just am not sure. I am not sure. I believe that it has the Crystal Lux on it, but I am not 100% sure on that. So let's find out once we test how scratch resistant it is. But at first I want to check this locking system. Again, this locking system is pretty brittle in my opinion. Not as brittle as some planks I've seen, but it still is pretty brittle. And so I just want you to be aware of that, okay? Now let's try the fork test. I'm trying to get this at an angle so we can see in the camera if it left a scratch, and it has not left any kind of scratch at all whatsoever. Not even one that I would need to even try to wipe off with water first to see if that made it go away. So once again, I believe that this probably has Crystal Lux on it, so it is well protected. I mean, it's a good plank on the surface. I just am not a fan of the locking system. Again, if you don't have a perfectly flat floor, this locking system can cause you problems with gapping if this locking system would happen to break on you. I like to see the locking system be a little tougher. This is only $269 a square foot, so probably a good buy for that price with the locking system being like that. Again, I'd probably only give this a 4 out of 10.
Now this is Home Decorations. This is a vinyl plank exclusive to Home Depot. MSI makes this vinyl plank, but it's branded as Home Decorations. When I opened the box, there was 10 planks in this carton, and you can see that I had 5 different patterns, and they overlap each other like I've shown you with some of the other planks.
Okay, so the next thing I want to try out is see how well this cuts with the utility knife and how easy it snaps off. Okay, you can see that this snaps pretty easy. Now I want to try using marker on this plank. I use marker to mark my cuts, like when I'm cutting along walls and door jambs and stuff. So I like to use a permanent marker. I'm using denatured alcohol here. If you can't find denatured alcohol, you can also use rubbing alcohol. You can use Goof Off. You can use hairspray. You can use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. You can see that marker all came off of that plank. This butt joint right here, the cross joint, has to get pounded together. The rest of this plank goes together a different way, and I'll show you that in a second. But if you just hit this with a rubber mallet, that's how you lock the butt joint in. But a lot of times if you try to pull this apart, it'll break that locking system. One way you can do this is just slide these apart, but this one's together pretty tight. I want to see if this breaks if I pull this apart. Okay, so this is still intact. I'm impressed by this so far, just so you know. A lot of times these will bust off. Went together good again after I did it. Pulled it apart again. Let's try this one more time. Okay, it comes apart, so it still didn't break. Now I do want you to know the more you do that, the more that this comes apart easier. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start putting these together. Seems to go together pretty good. Just falls right into joint, the long joint. All this goes together nice. The joints tap together nicely. Little love tap with the tapping block and it all goes together perfect, and I'm not even secured on this floor at all.
Overall, this plank went together really easy. I was very impressed with how easy this was to install, and I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10 as far as easiness to put this plank together.
No scratches. Okay, so this was the from the Home Decorators collection. Now, this is called Athabasca Glacier. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, sorry about that. It's a 7x42 plank, 7 inches wide, 42 inches long. Now, this is $349 a square foot, and we're looking at another 5mm thick product here. It has the attached pad. It feels about the same as the last plank as far as the stiffness of this. It's a solid, rigid core. Okay. It has the Crystal Lux on here protecting the wear layer. So anyway, let's test the locking system on this one. Again, same thing. It's pretty brittle. It breaks pretty easy. I personally do not like to go with a plank that has a weak locking system that you can break easily with your fingers. But again, if you have a flat floor, it might not be a problem for you. Okay, let's check out the durability with the fork now. I'm trying to get some lighting in here so we can see it. I'm not seeing, I kind of see a little bit of a mark there where it left. Don't know if the camera's picking that up good or not, but let's wipe it and see. I don't see it. It's gone. So this plank is passing the test again. So far Home Depot's vinyl planks are passing the test as far as being scratch resistant. So there's definitely some positive notes there, okay? So you can definitely trust the durability of all of these planks I've showed you so far as the finished surface goes, and will it withstand life? Now, as far as rating this plank, I'm going to have to go with the 4 on this one too because of the locking system. If the locking system was stronger on this plank, I would definitely give it a higher score. All right, let's get into the Lifeproof. We'll start with the 6mm wear layer. So I have a 6mm wear layer, a 12mm, and a 22. Let's see what we got. Okay guys, there's 7 plank in this package. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 plank in this package, and there's 4 different patterns that came in this box. Now I want to tell you something about this one that's different than the others that we've looked at so far. This has identical patterns. See that? These 2 perfectly line up. This one, pretty dang close. The only difference though is this one is flipped around, so they reversed it. Okay, so here's the groove right here, and here's the groove on this plank. Well, that pattern, if you flip it the other way, it's still the same exact pattern. All right, let's try to score and snap this. Okay, so it's a little tougher to score and snap this. You might need to do it twice. That definitely makes it a little bit more quality, in my opinion, when it's harder to score and snap. Let's try this one more time, going twice. So I mean, as far as the durability of the core goes, I'm feeling like it's pretty solid. Even scoring it twice, it's hard to snap. Definitely a lot harder. Let's try the jigsaw and see if it'll be easy for you to cut with the jigsaw. Okay, the jigsaw goes right through it, so you know that's what you can use when you're installing it. All right, let's see if the marker test, how that goes. Okay, once again, another plank, the marker comes right off, so you'd be okay to use a permanent marker while you're marking these cuts. Okay, once again, this is the drop and lock, so I want to see how it reacts after I pound it together and then take it back apart. Okay, it slides out easy, so you can do it that way. If you try to break it out, the locking system still stays intact. So you're good there. So if you had to take it apart, it goes back together again. Still nice and smooth. You can see how much easier it starts to get to be though to come apart. The more that you do this. Oh, I guess it's stuck a little bit there. The thing with drop and locks is just wait, don't pound that together until you're done marking your walls. And never lift it up like this. You either want to slide it apart or you want to grab one end, lift, and pull one down while you're pulling it apart. Because if you put a drop and lock, together and just lift up on it, like I did, you can damage the edge of it then, and then it'll be a bad plank. At least you can use it somewhere else. You'll have to cut this part off. Okay, let's put this plank together and see how easy it is to get a couple rows going here. Okay, right there, I just broke the locking system off. Now that could have been the plank that I was putting together earlier, but I just broke it off. So I'm not too thrilled about that. Now, you could take this plank and use it somewhere else, and I would tell you to do that. This could be a cut end up against the wall. And see if that damage happens, how easy this moves up and down. I'll be honest with you guys, this one's going a little more, need a little more finesse so far. I'm really not liking how this joint went together either. It's high, and if I press on it, I can see it moves. So it's not like really locked in there that well. Now, I want to point this out because this is a lot of the complaints that I get from people about these drop-in locks. I'm just going to pull this apart and see if the locking system broke. It's in there tight, it's just was loose. And the locking system still isn't broken. So you see what I mean? I don't like that. That is not good. Here's what it looks like. Now overall, it's together nice and tight. It's just those cross joints. Now I had a little bit more struggle putting this first two rows together. As far as installing this particular product, I'm going to give it a 3. Okay. I'm not seeing any scratches. Okay, so here's Lifeproof right here. Now this is the 6mm wear layer. It's 7 millimeters thick. So it's a thicker plank with a thin wear layer on there. Surprisingly, this is 7 millimeters thick with only a 6mm wear layer. That really does surprise me. The scratch protectant on here is, there is a scratch protectant over this wear layer, but it doesn't state it that it's the same that they put on the 12mm or the 22mm, so I'm not sure what they're exactly using on this product, but we'll check that. Let's check the locking system on this. Now this is a very durable locking system. I cannot break it. Oh. Okay, whoops, sorry about that. So I was able to break the corner, but that's because it's at the end. I can't break it. Oh, there we go. But it takes a lot to break that. So I'm gonna say that the locking system is pretty solid on this. Now, there are some that I can't break at all with my fingers, so we'll keep that in mind for future, okay? But anyway, the locking system seems to be pretty decent on this. Now I'm gonna do the scratch with the fork. It didn't even make a dent in it. I can't see any sign of a scratch in this plank at all. So the surface part is good. Now I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. The reason why is because I did not like the way that locking system performed when we were putting the plank together, where that cross joint, that butt joint was having issues. Plus I didn't think that this plank went together that good. I don't know why. This plank, I just did not like. It might just be this particular one. This particular heirloom pine is what this is called. I just am not sure. All right, let's talk about Lifeproof 12mm. Now this has got a 12mm wear layer on it. Okay, so I opened up this box. There's 6 pieces in here. The last one had 7. Okay. This one's a little closer. Same thing, it's reversed. I just want to show you what you're getting. A lot of plank companies do this. So there is a little bit more quality going on in the production of it because they're doing that. But you can see here's the pattern right here. And then this one. You can kind of see here. Right here and here. So it's overlapped about that much. All right, let's cut this now. I'm sure this is going to be very similar to the last one, where it's going to take a little bit of work to break those. You can tell too when I'm running my knife through it, my utility blade's dulling a lot quicker with this than it was with the other planks that we tested. So I scored it there, let's see. Okay. Now I'm going to cut the length. Now using a utility knife to score and snap is not something you have to do with plank. I just like to show you that you can. This particular one is pretty tough in the length. My utility knife, I feel like I can just feel it getting dull. So once you get it started on the edge, then it'll score and snap for you. So now you can see that you can use the utility to score and snap this off. It makes a nice clean cut. Now, like I was saying, my utility knife is dulling really quick on this. So I'm kind of excited later on in this video to do the scratch resistant part of this test. Okay, so a jigsaw cuts through that nicely, leaves some burrs, but that's typical for a vinyl plank. We'll do the marker test. There's definitely a different finish on this than there has been on the other plank. The reason why I say that is because my marker isn't showing up quite as well as it was. So you can tell that there's something on there that doesn't want that marker to even be on there. But you can see no marker. Okay, let's test this, putting this together. Now, I don't know, it already feels like it's already locked in joint. This plank feels like it just wants to be in place right there. Okay, it locks down more. Let's see. I want to feel that it's not just sitting there and that it's actually in there. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, this is nice. Ooh, that was hard to get out. Did not break the locking system. If you're using a drop and lock, you want one that's going to stay in there good. Okay, the second time it came apart a lot easier. So again, try not to pound these down until you're absolutely ready. Okay, still never broke. Now this plank has a micro bevel edge, and I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit here. It's kind of nice having a micro bevel because then you're like meant to see the joints. The square edges don't just pop up on you, so that you don't have to worry about catching your feet on them. Okay. You can tell this is a lot more solid than the 6mm wear layer that I just showed you. This plank goes together a little easier, and it doesn't seem to be as flimsy. The locking system seems way more solid on this one, so that's definitely a big upgrade from the 6mm to this 12mm. These butt joints are staying together. I'm not seeing any looseness like we did in the other ones. Okay, this is what it looks like when they're together. You can see that micro bevel edge. It looks like there's a gap there, but that's not. That's a micro bevel.
Now this plank was incredibly easy to install, so I'm going to give this plank a 9.5 out of 10 for how easy it was to put the plank together.
Again, this is just fine sand. I'm not seeing any scratches.
All right, so this is the Lifeproof, the 12 mil. Now this is called Moose Lake Chestnut. It's a 9x48 plank. It's $3.99 a square foot. It's 6 millimeters thick with an attached pad, and it has the 12 mil wear layer on here. Now they do say that it has an acrylic surface coating on this, okay, for the scratch resistant part. So that's what they put over the wear layer to protect this. Now let's do the fork test on this one first. Just want to see certain lighting here. It's hard to see. I don't see any scratches on this at all. So I like that. So it withstood the sand test and the fork test. Now let's check out this locking system. Okay, so now this one is definitely more durable than some of the others, but I can break it with a lot of force. But it is pretty strong. Okay, this is a plank that they state that can go over a floor that has imperfections in it. I feel like this locking system would stand up because, like I said, it does take a little bit to break it, but you can see that I can break it off. So I'll let you draw your own conclusion to that. I have a lot of times, like I've said, where I can't break the locking system off at all with my fingers. So anyway, with everything overall here on this plank, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. And the main reason why is because I could break the locking system, even though it took a lot of brute strength to do it, but it's a drop and lock, okay? It's a drop and lock. Now this only has a 12 mil wear layer on it, so I just want you to know that between this and the 6 mil that I just showed you, this was only $3.99 a square foot, so it's only 10 cents more than the other one. Now you can come up with what you want to know, but to get double the mil wear layer on here, I think that the 10 cents a square foot is worth it. Now 12 mil is something that you can definitely have in your house and never have any issues with that wear layer failing on you. I would always make sure I get 12 mil and above. That's just my opinion. The 20 and 22s, those are starting to get to be overkill for inside a house. 12 mil is definitely a good baseline to start at.
All right, here we go. The 22 mil Lifeproof. Okay, after straightening out these patterns, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 plank in here, and out of those 8 plank, we don't have any identicals, but we do have 2 here that overlap each other. See, it's not perfectly identical, but they overlap each other. Actually, it's more down here. You can see that same pattern. That's with the locking system running the same way. And then same with this one. You can see that. All right, let's test the drop and lock on this cross joint here, butt joint. Again, it feels like it's meant to sit in there. Almost like you don't have to pound it, but you do. You need to pound it to get it to go together. So again, these either slip out. Now this one doesn't want to slide like the other ones did. So this particular one, we're gonna have to pop it apart like that. Now that came apart pretty easy, but it didn't break anything. Nothing's loose in it. This one I'm going to put a brand new blade in. That feels good. Feels good. Okay, so with the brand new blade in there now, again, I'm able to snap these a little easier, but they're still pretty tough with this. Let's try score and snapping the length. Can already feel my blade getting dull again. I'm just gonna score it once. Ooh. So it scores and snaps. Probably have to change your utility blade quite often doing it that way. Make sure you always have a good sharp blade and keep your hands away, because when these blades get dull and you're trying to cut plank, it's easy to slip and you don't want to catch your hand. Okay, so that cuts with the jigsaw nicely. Still leaves burrs, but that's typical, and you can get those off really easy. So don't worry about the burrs. That's going to be covered by trim anyway. Okay, so now I've cut a bunch of plank. And I just want to show you how this is starting to wear now. That was after cutting all the different samples that I just showed you. Okay, now this was not a brand new blade, but it was a pretty decent one. So that's why I'm saying, just buy, 6 to 10 of these and you'll be good to go. Don't get the most expensive ones, because no matter what, these are gonna wear out. All right, let's do the marker test. That kind of fades and beads on it a little bit like the last one. See, the marker came off there, no problem. Now again, this is a beveled edge, micro beveled edge. And I just feel like it wants to go together really nicely for me in these cross joints. Going together really nice. No loose joints. See that micro bevel again? Goes together nice. These joints stayed tight. None of them are moving in the cross joint.
I'm definitely going to give this a 9.5 out of 10 for how easy this was to put the plank together.
All right, next, let's take some sand. Now this isn't super coarse sand. This is pretty fine sand. And let's try to look in certain lighting here. I'm not seeing any scratches. Nothing that wouldn't come out.
Okay, so here's the other life-proof one. Now this is called Arnica Lake Oak. This is $409 a square foot. It's a 7x48. It's 6.5 millimeters thick. And it has a 22 mil layer on it. 22 mil wear layer on it. And it has that acrylic top coat that makes it ultra
Scratch resistant is what they're claiming with the 22. They don't use that word with any of the other ones. They don't use it with the 12 mil or the 6 mil, the ultra word. So I don't know if they're doing something more with this plank on that wear layer or not, but let's find out. We'll test this first. I can see a little bit of mark where I did it, but it's almost, you know, I don't feel like it penetrated at all. I'm not seeing any scratches. So very good wear layer on this. Don't see any scratches on there. I was pretty brutal with that one too. And of course I go across the cross grain at an angle so I can make sure that we're getting it all ways, but you can see there's not any scratches in there. All right, let's check the locking system on this. Oh, that one's strong. I cannot break that one, guys. Wow. Okay. This, I would say, is life-proof. Okay? They can be bold and say that this is a life-proof product. I really think this is a great product. It has the attached pad, of course. The other thing that they do claim on the 12 mil and on this 22 mil is that because the plank is so rigid, right, so strong, that it helps with subfloor imperfections. Now what they state in there and how flat your floor is, I don't know, or how flat your floor needs to be, but I would tell you that I agree with this one. I'm going to give this an also, because it's a drop and lock, look guys, I'm just not a fan of the drop and lock. I would give this an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, I can't give it a 10, even though if it wasn't a drop and lock, I sure in the heck probably would. Okay, so there's one more thing I want to share with you before we leave here. This is something that Home Depot has that I checked out. I've heard a little bit about it, that they have it. Have never installed this, okay? This was not something that they had in stock, so I didn't grab a box of either one of these, but this is like a vinyl plank type flooring. It has the rigid core, so it makes it waterproof, but this is actually real wood on here. Now, so what they call this is Sure Plus. It's a waterproof engineered click hardwood flooring. It can be installed anywhere, okay? It doesn't matter. It can be in the kitchen, the bathroom, for a wood floor. That is the benefit that you're going to get from going with this type of core. Now you can see that it has a really thin veneer layer of wood there. You'll never be able to sand and finish this. But I will tell you this, the advantages of this floor are pretty good. As far as being a real wood, you'll never get the same pattern repeat on any plank. It'll always be different. Okay, the other thing is this wood layer is protected with 9 layers of aluminum oxide that they put over the top of this wood veneer. Now this comes 6x48, but that's the longest plank. So none of the planks will be longer than 48 inches long, but there's varying lengths. So you might get a piece in there that's 2 feet, 1 feet, 3 foot 3 inches, you know, things like that. So you'll be able to really get a real looking wood floor with this, and it is real wood, it's just on a rigid vinyl core, which really opens the door for people who want a wood floor. Now, I've seen this stuff ridiculously priced inside retail stores. Home Depot, they're actually pretty stinking good on the price with this. $4.79 a square foot. For this particular one, the fawn birch, $4.79. You're almost paying just as much as you did for the vinyl plank. Now let's see the scratch test. Now obviously this is real wood, so it's gonna scratch. But I just ran a fork over real wood and it actually didn't do too bad as far as the scratch goes. Wow, let's try that again. Now I'm really digging just the one fork in there now, making it scratch, going across the grain. Now I really do feel it. Okay, so you will be subject to, you know, scratching with this because it's a real wood. But, you know,
If I had a bigger sample, I'd do the sand test on this, but oh, maybe I'll get some someday.
So you can see that Lifeproof plank, at least the 12 mil and especially the 22 mil, wow, pretty decent plank. Holds up real good. Would highly recommend that to anyone. Now my next video, I'm going to show you Lowe's vinyl plank. I'm going to go through that and do the same test that I just showed you in this video. And to come, I have some floor decor samples that I'm going to be going through. I also have some L&L flooring, and I have Cortec, and I know a lot of people are asking about Cali bamboo. So I'll be going through all of those, so look for those videos soon. Lowe's will come out next week. Now, this vinyl plank is something that I'm buying on my own. If you want to help with the cause at all, there's a heart button below that says thanks. Hit that button. You can donate as low as $2 to help me cover the cost of this plank. I really appreciate it. So if you do decide to do that, thank you very much. So on my channel, I have a playlist that's going to be called Vinyl Plank Reviews. You can go and see all the reviews that I've done if you're watching this video later on after I've released these. All of those plank review videos are going to be in that playlist, so go check out my channel for that. Now, if you are going to be installing your own vinyl plank on your own, I have about 2 videos that you should just absolutely watch. If any 2 videos you watch where you want to learn some really easy to learn or really easy to use methods for your vinyl plank installation, check out these videos. I'll have the links up here somewhere on the screen. Check those videos out. If there's any 2 videos you could watch, these are the 2 that I would tell you to check out. Now hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that bell if you want to be notified. I really appreciate you. I can't thank you enough for watching my videos. I pray that God blesses you and your family, and I pray for that in Jesus' name. Again, my name is Joe Latender. I'll see you in the next video.